My name is Semonti and I am originally from India,
Okay.
Calcutta.
Calcutta. Great. And what program are you in at UB?
I am in the Higher Education Administration EDM program right now.
Great. And how did you decide to pursue higher education?
Okay, so there is a little twist here. So initially, I applied to the Educational Psychology and Quantitative Methods program, PhD, and I opted that if my application is not considered for PhD, be it considered for master's as well. So that is how I got into EdPsych. But after doing one semester of EdPsych, I did a summer internship with UB STEP, which is the Science and Technology Enrichment Program, and I found that my passion lies in higher ed. So I decided to switch my major to higher ed, and I started in higher ed in the fall 2018.
Cool. I don't think I even knew that backstory. What did you study as an undergrad in India?
I studied Bengali language and literature as an undergrad, and I also did my master's in that as well.
Excellent. How did you decide to apply for UB for graduate school?
So my husband and two of my cousins are UB graduates. So when I decided to come to the US, UB was like the go-to choice for me, and also because my husband was here, it was a little bit easier for me to apply here, and kind of like transition can be difficult, so I thought that I would be near to where I would find a person to hang on to.
Definitely.
So yeah, that's how I decided UB. And I also obviously navigated the website and looked at the faculty profile, and when I interacted with the admission office, I found their response extremely warm, and I found that they really care for their students, so that kind of made me decide that yes, UB is the place that I'm going to go to.
We definitely love hearing
Yeah.
So what had your husband and cousins told you about UB?
My cousins did not essentially tell me a lot about it, except for the fact that it's a flagship university, it's a public university, and it is part of the SUNY system, which makes it prestigious within the state. My husband did tell me about the faculty profile and the research that is carried out here, and he emphasized the fact that despite it's not, I mean, when I was applying from India, and people in India are always like looking for rankings, though despite the fact that UB is not highly ranked among the private research universities or public research universities, the quality of research carried out here is great, and it's emphasizing on its quality and excellence for research initiatives, and those were the things that my husband stressed upon.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And what does he study?
He studied electrical engineering master's.
Great. So did you have any other friends from home who applied for graduate school in the United States?
None.
Wow. Okay. What was your experience like when you were applying to UB? Did you have any challenges?
I did have a couple challenge. First of all, the whole application process was unknown to me. I knew that I had to take the GRE and the TOEFL examinations. I did not know where those examinations are conducted, so I had to do a whole research on those examinations and how to access those. Then I think the transcript part was the most challenging one, because the institution that I graduated from back in India, they do not issue transcripts directly to students. What they give us are the mark sheets. Those are all that we have as proof of our degree conferral. So I did not know what transcripts were, and I had to kind of go to my university maybe like 5 or 6 times to request the transcripts, and they also did not understand what I was looking for, and this whole process was very ambiguous. That's because I did not have any experience with transcripts, and my university doesn't issue transcripts. But from UB's end, it was very, I would say they were very responsive, and they responded to my emails quickly. I think Joanne Laska was at that time here. She was my point of contact. She used to reply to my emails very quickly, and she explained the whole process, what is required, and all. That was one challenge regarding the application process. I cannot think of any. Oh, yes. Financial documents and bank statements were another thing. I did not know what I need to show. It's all because it's different over here, and it's different in back in my country. So those were some bits and parts of the challenges.
Yeah. How did you finally end up figuring out your transcript situation?
Okay, so I had to go to the transcripts department in my university, which is like a very confidential place. I don't know why, but it's not many students know of it. So I went there. I spoke to the person who was in charge there. Didn't seem that he also had many experiences. He had experiences sending transcripts to universities within India, and not to abroad, because I assume that not many students from my discipline applied abroad. It was I studied regional language, and not many students studying regional language would apply to
Makes sense, yeah.
abroad. So he didn't know. He was like, "Why are you?" What US? I was like, US means America. He was like, America? It's like, yes, I'm applying to a university in America, and they want the official transcript. So it took about a week or so to make him understand what I wanted, and then it was about 2 or 3 months of waiting to get it done. I had to go there and kind of remind them that I need this by this due deadline. If you don't send it, I will not be able to attend the university, even if I'm accepted, because official transcripts were required after the decision was made. So that was I knew that I was accepted, but I had to have the transcripts in order to be here and make my admission confirmed and solid. So yeah, that was the process.
That sounds very stressful.
Yeah, and then I had to wait about. I knew that one day the registrar would sign, and things work differently there. They give you the transcript in a sealed envelope, and then I had to go to the registrar for his signature. He would sign it separately on top of the envelope. So I went there, waited outside his office, and I was told that yes, he's busy in a meeting and he would sign it just when he gets time. I had to wait 7 hours. I went there. Yeah, it was a little, challenging. And I believe that it's all because of the lack of understanding that this is a requirement necessary to get admission to a university in the United States or elsewhere. So that was it.
Wow. 7 hours.
7 hours, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Did you experience any issues with obtaining your visa?
I did not. The interview process was quite smooth and easy and not intimidating at all. I was nervous, but yeah, it went well.
Good, good. What were your first few days like after you moved here?
I moved here in the January of 2018 amidst the snow from a very tropical country. I moved to a frozen land. I liked watching the snow and the snowfall, but it was very, very challenging. It was very cold. I think I had some allergies and some physical medical conditions going on, and after I think about 4 or 5 days, I literally thought that I wouldn't be able to survive here, and that I may have to go back because I was feeling cold and I was catching cold and I couldn't concentrate in my studies at all. It was not very good. It was horrible. But it's just the weather that was a difficulty. And I had classes I arrived on 29th of January and I had classes from the 30th.
Oh my gosh. Wow, that's not a lot of time.
No.
Did UB do anything to help you get settled here after you arrived?
So a big support was my husband. He was with me, and also he knew about certain things over here. So, for example, the I had to get some shots. He knew where Michael Hall was.
Mm.
He knew that I had to get my UBIT name and password and get the UB card and register for classes. He knew all those processes. So it was not me who had to do the navigation, but he was doing it all for me. I mean, he was guiding me through. That was a huge, huge support. Um, and then I didn't do much because I was very, very busy navigating this new education system, which is a lot different from the one that I came from.
Oh yeah.
So I was not consciously doing anything. I just wanted to be warm and do my studies.
Yeah, of course. Um, if well, first of all, it's wonderful that your husband was able to help you.
Yeah,
Like, how amazing to have his support.
Yes.
If he hadn't been here, did the university provide any guidance for you or enough guidance for you?
I would say that the university did a lot. I felt welcomed. That was the main thing. And the type of behavior and the attitude of the people towards me were wonderful. I remember Jennifer Rosalind Bates upstairs in CSEP. She was asking about like how I felt, and at that moment I felt welcomed. Somebody in this foreign land was asking me about like my experiences and how I am doing. It's not very common in India that you have these conversations with an official person. So that was very nice. Also, this admission office, I remember when I came, Joanne Laska by that time had retired. I so wanted to meet her because she was my point of contact, but she was retired. I met Luann over here and she was welcoming as well. So I remember this office doing a lot and helping me out navigate like what I need to do in order to register for classes. Who I need to meet, and also my advisor was in sabbatical, so I didn't know who to go to. So I was directed to Jennifer upstairs, and Jennifer took me to Dr. Michelle Shanahan. She's wonderful.
Yes.
So yeah, so I would definitely say the department and the school did a lot for me in order to make me feel welcomed on campus and kind of engender a sense of belonging over here. Yeah.
Good. That's so nice to hear. Did you do anything to prepare yourself for coming here?
No, not really. I mean, I knew that I was coming to study, and I knew that I was coming to study a new thing. I emailed my advisor asking if I need to do any preparation because coming from a whole different background, I knew that educational psychology and it involved statistics, which I hadn't done for a couple of years. So, but he said I didn't get any reply because he was in sabbatical. So I did not know how to prepare myself. I didn't think of like contacting any current students. That didn't occur to me. I thought I would figure out after I go there, but I didn't have any time because I arrived very late.
Yeah. I can't imagine. So, aside from the weather, were there any other big surprises for you after you moved here?
Yes. In general, I would say the culture. I wouldn't say that it was a shock because I grew up watching Hollywood movies, but those are movies. But what I felt is people are connected in their own ways, but I couldn't see many people walking around in the streets. The density of the population is very low, coming from a city of 24 million. It was like everything seems empty and desolate. And during the winter times, I think it's more because as soon as the summer came, I was like, oh my gosh, there's so much going on. But yeah, people, I didn't see people and I wanted to talk to somebody, like when I was in school, or I wanted to communicate and like talk. I like talking to people, so that was one thing. What else? The way people talk and their reactions are different, their modes of expressions are different. Maybe I'm a super receptive and perceptive person. That's why I'm saying all these. But I felt that the way of responding to somebody's questions are different from what I felt, and I observed in order to kind of in order to communicate further with those people, the people here. I observe them. I should react like that. This is considered decent, or this is considered a norm, and this is considered rude. There are certain cultural aspects towards things. In India, we don't say thank you as much as we do here, and it has become an habit, and I love saying thank you. So initially, I wouldn't say somebody who would pass me a glass of water, and I wouldn't say thank you because it was very normal for me back in my country. So those were the little things, but I think those are all positive things that I learned here. I mean, saying thank you is a great thing, right?
Yeah.
So yeah,
that's interesting.
Food was another challenge.
Yeah.
Initially, I used to cook and I didn't know how to cook, so that was quite a challenge. But now I love eating American and all the cuisine that are offered here. So I have adjusted. Yeah, but initially food was I was like salads. You eat lettuce, and that's all.
Yeah,
it was like yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and we love having you in the office because you make the best food ever.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, how was your first semester overall in graduate school?
It was very rough.
Yeah.
But I would say that was a semester that had taught me the most. I learned so much. I did not know that class participation was an integral part of education over here. Initially, I did not speak a word in class. English was a challenge. I mean, I knew how to write English, but talking constantly in English was like, I couldn't, at times I would think something and I couldn't articulate that in words in English. And that was like, oh my God, I cannot express myself properly. So I learned how to participate in class. And then the seminar-based classes were altogether a new thing for me. I mean, you had to do the readings, you had to be prepared and come to class and then share your opinion about the readings. So that was completely unknown to me. In India, we would learn along with the teacher. The teacher would teach us and we would read along with them. And then we did not discuss. It was a class of, I think, 120 people in one room, and the teacher would lecture, we would learn, and then we would get back home and maybe jot down some notes or write answers to questions. So that this seminar style was completely different. The subject was new to me, so I was learning something new anyway. But I think I got very intimidated with one course that was Education and Social Stratification taught by Dr. Han. And I used to be like petrified to attend that class. It was a hard class. And she asked me why I chose that. Nobody takes that in their first semester. So I said I didn't have any choice. I arrived late and I had to take this class anyway. So, but I learned a lot from that class, and I love Dr. Han for kind of like pushing me and knowing my kind of like pushing my limits and knowing what I can do.
Yeah.
So though it was very tough, but that was I think a very productive semester for me.
Yeah, I believe it. Do you have a favorite class so far that you've taken in your program?
I cannot say one. I would say Education and Social Stratification with Dr. Han was one where I learned a lot about the American education system. I took a multicultural education class and cultural diversity class where I again learned a lot about the cultural norms and what is meant by diversity. There can be so many aspects towards it, and how we can ignore and kind of lead our lives based on our assumptions. So those two classes were very helpful in addressing my biases and engaging myself in difficult dialogues. um, I love those two classes, and then I love taking classes from Dr. Sully.
Me too.
So I love all her classes so
Yes.
far taken with her. I am currently taking a class called Educational Transitions, P through 20.
Oh, wow.
It is based on a theory called life course theory, and I'm loving that class as well.
Great. Good. So, switching gears a little,
Sure.
do you have a favorite thing about UB in general?
I mean, I work in this office. I think apart from my studies, I love the fact that Bali 366 has become my second home. And I don't know. I feel like I've been here forever.
I never want you to leave.
I don't want to leave ever.
So that's great to hear and really nice. Do you have a least favorite thing about UB? Or something that's really like difficult for you to deal with here at the university?
It's not about UB. It's just that I don't see my classmates interacting with me too much. I don't know why is that. Maybe because I come from a different culture and they are a little hesitant to talk to me. I don't have any friends, so that's something I wish I had. But I have wonderful colleagues over here, and I'm very happy about that. Until then, I was a little kind of, I don't have friends, and I wanted to make friends over here. I know everybody's busy. I just don't connect mentally and emotionally with my classmates. That's the only thing I don't like.
Yeah.
But it's okay.
Yeah. So socially, it's been just a little tough.
Yeah. A little tough.
That is hard. So we've already talked about how you like working here in this office. Can you tell me more about your role here in the Office of Graduate Admission?
Sure. So I am a graduate assistant in this Office of Graduate Admission. My primary role is with admission operations. I review applications and I attend students' calls regarding application requirements and questions all throughout their application process. I also do a little bit work with our Assistant Director of Admission Recruitment in helping her with inquiry calls and reaching out to students and answering their questions about application requirements and what they are interested in. If they want to know more about any of our programs, I am happy to help them out. Regarding the communications side, I work a little bit with you and help you in some different other projects. I have been helping you with GSE Connect. Unfortunately, which has ceased because
more to come.
Anyway, so yeah,
Yes.
And then that is basically it.
Great. What other types of work experience have you had since you started at UB?
Okay, so my first work was at the test center, UB Test Center in Cape Town as a test center administrator. Then I did a summer internship with UB STEP. That was an eye-opening work experience for me, and I knew that, okay, I want to go to higher ed because there is a lot to be done in college access domain and inequality domain. And then I worked in accessibility resources for about a month. And then I switched to the Office of Registrars because I got a GA position there. I worked as a transfer articulation graduate assistant there. I coded rules and answered student queries. Um, since after that, I have been in this office, and amidst that, in 2019 summer, I worked in the School of Management as the orientation facilitation intern, and at Buff State as the admission intern.
You have already been everywhere. Your resume is already so impressive. It's pretty amazing.
Thank you.
So, have there been any resources that have been especially helpful to you?
I would talk about the Writing Center because as an international student, writing academic English was a challenge to me. I remember writing a proposal of 1 page and not conforming to the APA format or not citing anything. Writing Center is a huge resource. I also think that the faculty members are great resources to us because I remember Dr. Namsuk Kim giving me ample amount of time whenever I needed to talk to her about any issues regarding like my studies, or I'm not feeling well, I am not feeling connected, what to do, and anything about any I was still navigating I'm still navigating, but at that time I was more unaware about race and issues regarding race, and how to address that, how to address people without harming their sentiments. And I would talk to her about that. She would give me ample time, and that was a very personalized experience for me. So I think faculty members are I think great in terms of helping international students like me.
Yeah.
I also think there's a health promotion and student union which offers open space to students to relax, and there's free tea and coffee. And as an international student, I'm in always like a money crunch, so free things are always welcome to me. I think the International Culture and Diversity Center, that's again a great thing. They also kind of, I think they have an international tea time, which once I went to, and then they also facilitate difficult dialogues and conversations to make people aware of it. So those are great resources.
Yeah.
At UB. Yeah.
Excellent. Great. So you obviously have a lot going on between your assistantship here and your coursework. What does a typical day look like for you?
So Mondays are a little hectic. I work from 9 to 5 here, and then from 7 to 10 I have a class. So, and just because me and my husband, we have one car, we travel together, and his office is nearby, so that makes it a little bit easier for us to travel together. So, but despite my office starts at 9, I have to come to the campus at 7. Because of his work hours, so I come here at 7 and then go back home at about 10:30.
Such a long day.
Yeah, on Mondays are long days.
Yeah.
And then Tuesdays and Wednesdays are pretty light days because Tuesdays I work till 1:30 and then work on my own. I go back home at 7. Wednesdays I stay back at home and then come at 7 and go back at 10 after a 10 p.m. class. Thursdays look like from 8:30 to 7:38ish. Yeah, I have to balance a lot in order to kind of between my work and my school work, and then I have to talk to my parents. Every other day to let them know that I'm okay. So that's again a time commitment. So yeah. But otherwise, it's okay. I love my work, so that kind of gives the oxygen to do the work that I don't like.
That's a good way of putting it. What do you like to do in your free time?
I love cooking, and I love spending time with my husband and watching movies together. If I get a 2-3 days of window that I can spend on like my own, I would go to some vacation. Upstate New York is my favorite destination.
Yeah.
Adirondacks.
Yes.
So I would go there.
Yeah. That sounds really nice. Let's go right now.
Yeah. Lake Placid.
How do you maintain a sense of well-being during graduate school?
There have been more than a couple of instances where I felt very demotivated, and I felt that I'm not doing well, and I want to do well. And if I can't do well, I shouldn't do it. And then after a while, I think that no, it's certain things are like checkboxes. You should do it in order to progress, and it's fine if you can't do it like 100% perfectly. It's okay. It's fine. Certain things are better done than to be done perfectly.
Right.
So it's basically self-conversation that keeps me going, and I know where I want to go to, and I know that in order to reach there, I have to do what I'm doing right now. So.
And where do you want to go to?
Right now, getting admission to a PhD program is the goal. And we can talk about my long-term goals later because it's kind of broad. I want to work on the domain of educational inequality and promote human rights. So I want to work for the community, kind of making the society a little bit worth living, and eradicating the stigma and certain things that hinder students from getting access to education.
That's an amazing goal.
Thank you. Yeah. It's a very broad goal, though.
I like where you're heading. How does your family feel about you studying in the U.S.?
I think they are very proud because I'm the first person from the entire family to have come to cross the borders and come to a foreign land. They're a little worried, but I think they're immensely proud that I'm doing what I'm doing right now.
Yeah. What are they worried about?
They're worried that I would not return to India anytime. That's a very legit worry. And they're worried about the weather and me being physically well and mentally well. They know they have been here and they have seen how different it is from the environment in India. In India, we are always surrounded by people. If we are feeling bad, we can go to anybody and talk out our heart. Here, I have limited people to talk to, and not that whenever I want to talk to them, they are available. So they are worried that kind of balancing that mental health and physical health together. It's just that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they're cool.
Yeah. Good. What would you say are the benefits of studying in the U.S. rather than India?
Oh my God, there are many. First of all, I am a whole new person now. I had so many biases, and I still have biases, but I'm working on those. I mean, it's incredibly illuminating to see so many people coming from so diverse backgrounds and working their way up amidst such challenges and such obstacles. I wouldn't have thought that a person coming from a low economic background and probably not having the money to buy food or pay rent would try to educate themselves and get a master's degree and think of a PhD degree. It's just, I think, I wouldn't have imagined if I were back in India. And I studied in a prestigious college in India where people came from a very homogeneous background. We talked the same language. We shopped the same brand. We ate in the same restaurants. I mean, the economy is much lower in India than it is here. But I mean, I'm talking about the homogeneity and the comfort zone that I was in. And here I'm like amidst everybody, and I'm observing people, how people work hard, and working hard can help them reach their goal. And yeah, it's eye-opening experience. And anyway, the education system is far better. quality of education is far better here. You learn to think critically. You learn to input your own opinions on your papers, and you learn to synthesize what you're learning. It's immensely helpful. Yeah, it's great.
That's great to hear. UB is so wonderful for having such high international populations, and that's part of, I think, what makes it so special, because you walk down the hall in any one of our buildings and you see so many different kinds of people together.
Right. And I think for domestic people over here, the whole bunch is international. But for me, somebody's Chinese, somebody's Ethiopian, somebody's Japanese and Malaysian, and probably Canadian. And a Canadian person once talked to me and said, I am still international. I don't know certain things over here, so don't think just because I'm white or Caucasian, I am one of the Americans. I'm Canadian, and that's my identity.
The things that I've been researching this semester is how international enrollment has been declining in the U.S. So, from your perspective, why do you think fewer international students are coming to the U.S.?
I don't want to say that. I think it's because of the current political climate and the policies implemented in this time that are hindering or making students hesitant to apply to the United States, because the visa things, I think the H-4 visa has been cut down, and then not many students are getting F1 visas. There are certain regulations and stuff like that going on, so that's one thing. Another thing, I think that until a couple years back, UK and certain European countries were not very open to international students. And now they are. So I think some of the population are going elsewhere than US.
Okay.
I don't think any other reason behind it. I think the political climate might be a strong predictor of what is happening right now.
I would have to agree. So, where your family is from in Calcutta, what is the perception like of the political environment here?
There are people talk a lot about the current president.
Yes.
And the thing is, news gets filtered out. Not that I'm positive that this person is not doing only negative things. He's also doing positive things. But those things do not reach the Indian subcontinent or do not reach the common people. So they're always talking, because of this person, this is happening, or not many people are like very, very politically aware, but it's just a common assumption and notion that because of this person, not many Indians are being able to go there and study there, or some Indians have to come back to their home country. They cannot settle in the United States. I would say it's a pretty negative.
Yeah, so like largely, almost totally negative, it sounds like.
It sounds like, and again, I would say that this negative impression is based on this is not a very politically aware opinion. It's something based on the news that they're hearing. It's just how the news is projected to them. Based on that, they are saying all these things.
Okay. That's interesting.
And my parents are not concerned. It's kind of like, I wouldn't say not concerned, but they're like, they depend on us more than the news that they're getting. So they would ask us what exactly is going on. We are hearing this here, but what's the scenario there? So they get a little bit more accurate information than what other people get, because we are here, so we can give them no, don't worry about it. It's not exactly what you're saying, or there's another perspective to the story and stuff like that. So.
Yeah. Good. Do you think your family's ever been concerned about your safety in the United States?
Um, I don't think that they're overtly concerned or worried, but they have mentioned about certain shootings that happen here, and they have asked me to be safe, and that's
Mm-hmm.
it.
Okay.
And we have told them that New York State and California State, those two are the lowest crime state, so you don't need to worry, and they're okay with it.
It's okay, Mom.
Yeah.
Are there any drawbacks to studying in the U.S.?
I can't see any right now. The only thing that I feel is, I mean, this is very common um, opinion, is that having given more time, I would have done a better job with my papers, or I would have done a better job imbibing the content.
Mm-hmm.
But that's like a very general and ongoing thing,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even if you're given 1 year, you would say, if I was given 2 years, I would have done a better job.
There's never enough time.
No, there's never enough time.
Yeah.
It's okay. I wouldn't say that it's a drawback.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that the 15 weeks of semester schedule is a wonderful thing to stick to and get your job done, and then enjoy 3 months of summer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I know what you mean. So before, you had mentioned that you watched a lot of Hollywood films growing up. What was your perception like of the United States before you arrived
Everybody's
here?
rich.
Everyone's rich.
And now I see, I mean, a completely different picture. I mean, there are people who are homeless.
Yes.
There are people who can't afford to buy a balanced meal.
Yeah.
So it's not that. And not everybody wears a Prada, right?
If only we could be so lucky.
No.
Yeah.
But I think it's the way it's projected, this capitalism and consumerism and everything.
Yeah.
It's contagious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So aside from
and everybody's thin and slim.
That's funny. So aside from realizing that maybe not everyone is wealthy and not everyone is slim, have any of your other perceptions changed since you've lived here?
Yes. I see a lot of people who are curious and really willing to know about my culture. It's not that just because I'm a student of color or I come from a country which was dominated by the Caucasians ones, and history is related. So it's not that people think lowly of me, but they are really interested. There are obviously some people like you and the people in this office. They are always very inquisitive. They're always curious to know and willing to know about my culture and what I do differently, what I cook, what I dress, what our wedding attire like, and stuff like that. So that's very nice, and I feel welcome, and I love to share about my culture, so I'm always happy to talk about it.
Well, we appreciate that. So my last question is, what advice do you have for other students who might want to come to UB to study or who might want to come to the US to study?
I would definitely say that, I don't do social media, but I would recommend connecting to current students via social media and having an idea of where you are coming. I think most of them do that, but it's important to get connected before you come, so that the moment you come, you don't feel that you don't belong here. And then reach out to people whenever you are encountering any problem. Nobody is gonna know your problem. Your problem is your problem and only known to you. So unless you reach out, you wouldn't get any help. So reaching out is important. Whoever you find trustworthy, reach out. I had my husband, so I had less difficulty. But at times I also had to reach out to other people in the department or in the school to get help from. So it's incredibly important to reach out.
Yeah, and make those connections.
And get active on campus and make some social connections. That's important.
Yeah.
Hanging out is important.
Always important. Yes. That's good advice.
Yeah.